Bells by Edgar Allan Poe. Hear the sledges with the bells, silver bells, what a world of merriment their melody foretells. How they tinkle, tinkle, tinkle in the icy air of night, while the stars that oversprinkle all the heavens seem to twinkle with a crystalline delight. Keeping time, 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 in a sort of runic rhyme, to the tintinnabulation that so musically wells from the bells, 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 from the jingling and the tingling of the bells. Hear the mellow wedding bells, golden bells, what a world of happiness their harmony foretells. Through the balmy air of night, how they ring out their delight from the molten golden notes, and all in tune, what a liquid ditty floats to the turtle dove that listens, while she gloats on the moon. Oh, from out the sounding cells, what a gush of euphony voluminously wells, how it swells, how it dwells on the future, how it tells of the rapture that impels to the swinging and the ringing of the bells, 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 of the bells, 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 bells. Bells, 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 to the rhyming and the chiming of the bells. Loud alarm bells, brazen bells, what tale of terror now their turbulency tells, in the startled ear of night, how they scream out their affright, too much horrified to speak, how they can only shriek, shriek out of tune, in a clamorous appealing to the mercy of the fire, and a mad expostulation with the deaf and frantic fire, leaping higher, 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 with a desperate desire, and a resolute endeavor. Now, to sit or never by the side of the pale-faced moon. Oh, the bells, 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 what a tale their terror tells of despair. How they clang and clash and roar, what a horror they outpour on the bosom of the palpitating air. Yet the ear it fully knows, by the twanging and the clanging, how the danger ebbs and flows. Yet the ear distinctly tells in the jangling and the wrangling, how the danger sinks and swells by the sinking or the swelling and the anger of the bells, of the bells, of the bells, 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 bells. Bells, 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 and the clamor and the clangor of the bells. With the tolling of the bells, iron bells, what a world of solemn thought their monody compels, and the silence of the night, how we shiver with affright, at the melancholy meaning of their tone. For every sound that floats from the rust within their throats is a groan, and the people, the people, they that dwell up in the steeple, all alone, and who tolling, tolling, tolling in that muffled monotone, feel a glory in so rolling on the human heart a stone. They are neither man nor woman, they are neither brute nor human, they are ghouls, and their king it is who tolls, and he rolls, 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 rolls a paean from the bells, and his merry bosom swells with a paean of the bells, and he dances and he yells, keeping time, 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 in a sort of runic rhyme, to the paean of the bells, keeping time, 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 in a sort of runic rhyme, to the throbbing of the bells, 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 to the sobbing of the bells, keeping time, 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 as he knells, 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 in a happy runic rhyme, to the rolling of the bells, 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 to the tolling of the bells, 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 to the moaning and the groaning of the bells.
In the Bells, Edgar Allan Poe defines how the journey of life starts peacefully but ends with tragedy. Poe uses repetition of the word bells throughout the poem to show how many times the bells actually ring, so when the poem reaches its end, the bells are annoying. Other words and phrases in the poem repeat to show the memories of past time throughout life. In the first stanza, bells is repeated 10 times. In the second stanza, bells is repeated 12 times. In the third stanza, bells is repeated 15 times. Finally, in the fourth stanza, bells is repeated 21 times. In the beginning of the poem, tinkle, tinkle, tinkle is repeated to show how lightly silver bells sound over and over again, keeping time, time, time in a sort of runic rhyme. Time is repeated 3 times to prove that there is a rhyme scheme in the way the bells work, but the whole phrase and parts of it are repeated towards the ending of the poem. This shows that certain times in life go in sequence, having a rhythm to it. This occurs in the beginning of one's life when life is simple. Then it repeats itself towards the end of one's life for the remembrance of that beat. These two phrases and the words bells create a calm and happy environment. These light repeated words thus explain that life in the beginning is joyful and many memories are created. Starting in the third stanza, the bells shriek, shriek. This means that the bells grow louder in a rough tone. Poe repeated this to show the dramatic scare one has once life moves closer to death. The word higher is repeated 3 times to show the drastic change of life, how the madness grows higher, higher, higher. Now is repeated twice to catch the reader's attention. Poe is stating that now one realizes what death is and how little time we all have. In the last stanza, Poe repeats the same phrases over and over. This makes it seem as if Poe is going mad. But this part of the poem is when a person's life is ending and you're trying to rush through everything since there is no time left. meaning that reoccurrences fall upon the person once they slowly start to drift off to an end.
Poe writes a poem that seems silly and playful, but once you uncover the symbols he lays out in the poem, the reader realizes that Poe is using symbolism. Each set of bells in each stanza creates a different aspect and meaning to the rest of the stanza. The type of bell he states determines how that part of life actually plays out for any person. In the first stanza, Poe says silver bells. Silver bells has an innocent, light sound once rung. From this one symbol Poe places, the reader can see that everything else in the stanza is light and innocent. This is how life is once you are a child and are growing up learning more about the world. The second stanza, Poe says, golden bells. Golden bells are bold and strong sounding. They also have a bright color. He states how they are also wedding bells, which is pure happiness and love. This is when life gets even better than before and you think you have your happy ending. Then, in the third stanza, brazen bells is then stated. These are ugly looking and very loud sounding, a bit brutal. Poe says loud alarm bells, which isn't something someone wants to wake up to, meaning not pleasant. This is the time of life where fear grows stronger and you start to lose the love you once had. Finally, Poe gives one more form of bells. Iron bells. These are even uglier than brazen bells. They scream out louder than any other bell stated. These are also the kind of bells that represent death and sadness. This part of the poem is the end of one's life and how tragic it all comes down to. Without the symbolism Poe uses, the poem would not represent his outlook on life as well as it does.
Personification describes what the bells are doing, saying, etc. At the beginning of the poem, phrases that describe the actions of the bells using personification are related to happiness. Then towards the end, personification is used to describe the bell's actions in a rough and distressing way. Personification in the beginning makes it seem as if the bells are alive. There is a deeper meaning to the bells. They also represent the obstacles in life. In the second stanza, personification is first represented. The phrase, "What a world of happiness their harmony foretells," states that the bells are sharing their happiness. This is an action that a human would be partaking in, not bells. The bells are thus happy, creating mood that is delightful. This is the time of one's life that is more than amazing. So how the bells tend to feel tells the reader that the life is great at the point in life. The bells are also ring out their delight. Again, another phrase proving that the bells are satisfied with life. Starting in the third stanza, where there's a shift change, Poe states, "What a tale of terror now their turbulency tells." This is in the third line, so that you can tell all of a sudden the bells are horrified and not happy like they were in the stanza right before. They scream out their affright and are too horrified to speak. They can only shriek, shriek, which are actions that humans do when they are frightened. This is the point in life where it hits the person that life is not so easy as it seems. Yet the ear fully knows that life is only trouble once all happiness fades away. An ear cannot know anything, so there again is another human action. Then the ear distinctly tells by the sinking or the swelling of the bells, again personification. The bells are no longer happy and are no longer scared. They are now angry. The poem ends with the line, "To the moaning and the groaning of the bells."